page. We're on Facebook Live.
How are you?
Welcome to the show. You can call in and be a part of this show. 201-822-5531 or 201-8-BALL-31. What an episode.
First of all, so everyone knows, this is Ballers Deep. It's
This
an
is
hour-long.
Ballers Deep.
It's an hour-long recap show for a half-hour show.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is appropriate.
We are going to be covering some serious ground. We're coming with 2 episodes to talk about.
Off last week. So
That's right.
we're
Off
covering-
last week. We acknowledge Labor Day. We observe it, and we love it.
So we're going to be covering episode 7, season 3, episode 7, Ricky Leaks, which I thought was a hilarious pun.
Yeah.
And as well as last night's episode, season 3, episode 8, Alley Oops,
Alley-oops.
which we'll get into the title.
That's
of that
right.
Yeah, a lot of controversy around that title.
Yeah. Let's go around the horn and meet your cast for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, to my immediate right is Mr. James Coker. Thank you for joining us, James.
Hey, thanks so much. Nice to meet you, Marshall.
Yeah, nice to... James, is it?
Yeah,
Great.
James.
Okay, James.
All right.
Yeah. And then to my next right, Mr. Matt Little.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's James?
It's James.
I thought it was Yames.
Nope, I get that a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
And then my furthest right, Ashley Sather. Sather.
Jim, though, right?
James.
Oh.
You might have seen Ashley riding the exercise bike a few weeks ago.
That's
on
right.
Ballers
Sure.
Deep.
That's right.
Did
Yeah,
it for an
for the-
entire hour. I think you went 13 miles.
I did go 13 miles.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's so great.
Haven't worked out since. I figured, got it all in.
I mean, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot of miles. You deserve a
100%.
break. So let's get into it. I mean, biggest thing in last night's episode was The Rock and The Rock and his fertility, and it really kind of came into the forefront
Right.
of this episode.
Well, I think at the beginning of the episode with Spencer and Chloe, we had the classic girlfriend-boyfriend interaction. They were slapping each other's butts. They were arguing over about the real estate on the his and her sinks.
The toothbrush in the shower.
Yeah. Making sex jokes with each other. I mean, this is a regular American couple.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Good
just
nuclear couple.
and they're just beautiful bathroom that they have, just a regular American couple.
There is no such thing as non-opulence on this show, which blows my mind. Like, even the dirtiest place that they eat is nicer than the nicest place I've ever had
Like,
food.
in the reality of this show, like, Joe and Spencer could get stranded, like, in some, like, small town and have to stay at La Quinta Inn, and the La Quinta would have, like, a jacuzzi.
Yes.
And a Michelin-starred bar and restaurant.
Exactly.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is just that's just canon to the Ballers universe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Everything is ballin' in the ballerverse.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't not ball in the baller universe.
No.
Too true. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, quite an episode. We have, I mean, the ending, but let's just start in the beginning, I guess, and talk about. It seems like there's like, some real like stuff going down in Anderson. I mean, like they appraise. I mean, they have like all these appraisers come in, and everyone loses their jobs while doing yoga,
Mm-hmm.
and then taking it out on the what do you call that room? The
rage room.
Rage room.
Yeah, aptly called the Rage Room.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, really like the concept of the rage room.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could all use one, right?
Yes,
For sure.
absolutely.
I like the concept of the Rage Room, but I wonder how sustainable it is because everything in there was very breakable. It was a glass room. I feel like you'd have to repair and replace the Rage Room very
I
frequently.
was thinking about that. The first person goes up and uses the room, and then it's done.
Yeah.
There's nothing for anyone else, which would cause, I think, more rage.
You know where they need one of those is Lincoln Financial. They need one of those at the Eagles Stadium when like Eagles fans go nuts and they're just like, listen, just come down here, take it out on this room for a half an hour, and then head back up to your seat. You'll be fine.
Instead of causing property damage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of like throwing batteries at people.
Yes.
Yes. For
Or
sure.
big neighborhood cars.
Or
Yeah.
snowballs at Santa Claus.
Yeah. They attacked Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I mean, in their defense, it was a guy in a Santa costume who was being drunk and belligerent, but still.
So
I mean,
he was
still.
maligning the good name of Santa Claus.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And speaking of maligning, folks, you can call in right now. Join us. We're talking Ballers. This is Ballers Deep, the hour-long recap show of a half-hour show on the Home Box Office Network.
Right.
Call in to the Cisco phone here, 8ball31. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Matt, you just had a pretty cool tweet before the show got started.
Yeah.
Can you tell us who of the cast was a part of this? Yeah.
This is really exciting. So we like to tweet about when we're on the show and stuff, and I tweeted that I was about to go live, and posted the phone number too. If you twitter.com/themattLittle. But Donovan Carter not only liked it but follow backed. It's very exciting, and we all know him as Vernon. And this was actually last night, Vernonless episode.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They took a break on his storyline for episode 8. But we did see him in episode 7.
Yes.
We did. And I feel like, Vernon, like, just talking about Vernon, but like real quick, I mean, he's just kind of like come by the wayside, and Reggie's kind of like taking kind of his storyline and kind of like being the representative for it.
Yeah.
Like.
Last week he had a big role in reducing Vernon's suspension. I wanted to say sentence.
Right.
Suspension.
Yeah.
He's been sentenced to not playing. But yeah, Reggie actually seems to be getting his shit together now.
Yeah.
A lot more so than he did. I mean, he always showed sort of sparks of having some idea of like what to do with Vernon's career.
We always knew that Reggie was really smart.
Yeah.
We always knew that he was really capable of doing a good job in regards to looking out for Vernon's best interest.
Yeah.
But we always questioned like where his loyalties were. Like, were they to Vernon as a friend, or were they to himself and him making decisions just to profit and make profits for himself down the road?
Right.
And I think what we're finding is that we all knew Reggie was capable, but now he's really sort of stepping up to the plate and making good by his friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And I just think, like, Reggie really is, like, confident when he goes in that room and talks to Candace from the NFL and convinces her to, like, take, 2 games off of the suspension. I mean, that's huge.
And I got to tell you, that Candace Brewer is a tough nut to crack.
Oh, man.
She hates Spencer.
Oh, yeah.
Hates him.
Like, Spencer is such a charismatic guy, and Spencer cannot break through with Candace whatsoever.
Yeah.
So the fact that Reggie was able to go in there and talk the suspension down with her, I think says a lot about his character.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I always like to, in my head, marry the storyline, see if we can find different merging points. What if? Let's play Ballers What If right here.
Ballers What If.
Okay.
Here we go.
So Spence, real concerned about his legacy right now. What if, in order to seal the deal for football to come to Las Vegas, he agrees to have a child with Candace?
I like that.
I like it in the sense that he would be agreeing with someone to have a child.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As opposed to just telling someone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and instead of like walking through the chronology of the episode, do we want to start with Spencer's daddy issues?
I mean, yeah,
Go
I
from
think,
there?
I think Ashley brought up a great point, and I think, Ashley, we are all ears to hear what you have to say about this.
Well, do we want to walk up to that last point before we get there?
Well, I think we all know that, like, Spencer has been struggling with fertility. That has been a theme throughout the
Well, we weren't sure exactly
season.
whether it was fertility, because at first we thought he just had erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to have sex or make love with Chloe, his girlfriend, and could not get an erection. And finally went to the doctor. Of course, we have that hilarious phone call where he has this witty banter with the receptionist at the doctor's office.
She's a bully.
Yeah.
That's what we got from that.
And he's cracking jokes left and right. Doesn't want to go in to get the results in person, but we eventually, because he has yoga.
Yeah.
He has other obligations. He's supposed to have lunch with Chloe. He's supposed to go to yoga and lay off the ASM employees, which we'll get to later. But finally does end up going to meet in person with the doctor.
It was so revealing.
Yes.
That was the moment where I was like, oh, I'm going to be infuriated by this storyline. Just because he's sitting there and he's like, the football thing didn't pan out. My legacy, the only chance I have at a legacy is a kid. And I was walking down the street watching this, and I talked to no one. I spoke and I said, that is so selfish. And the doctor, thankfully, was like, that is very selfish. That is not a good reason to have a child. Like, just needing to see your legacy continued, not wanting to be a father or raise a family.
Right. Yeah. So we know that Spencer, from the meeting, that his sperm count is dwindling. Yeah. He still has the ability to have children, but we all know that the clock is ticking.
He's in the twilight of his sperm career.
Right. But it was confusing when the doctor says they're more Ryan Lochte than Michael Phelps, because I'm like, yeah, no, those are both very good swimmers.
Those are
top tier 1% swimmers for sure.
Yeah, well, at least it wasn't like they're more like your weird cousin that can't jump off the diving board.
They never learned to swim.
Yeah.
That would
and before we get into the scene with this doctor, were the Ballers contractually obligated to make Travis Scott references in order for Travis Scott to appear in the show, or was that just sort of like a nod to him?
I mean, it's a great question because there's not only does he appear, but also like people you never expect to know Travis Scott lyrics know them.
Steve Guttenberg.
Yes.
Yeah, for one.
And then with The Rock. Sorry, Spencer. They're two different people.
Yeah.
The Spencer actually quoting that three-peat line.
Right.
And then explaining the three-peat line to the doctor immediately after.
Saying, I meant three-peat because one Pro Bowl weekend, I had sex with 3 women during that weekend, like the song.
Yeah, and he's just like, duh.
Duh, Doc.
It was my 3 times sex weekend.
But I think you're absolutely right in the sense that, like, Spencer is incredibly selfish, that the only reasoning he wants to have a child is because he's concerned about his legacy.
Yes.
He doesn't seem like he actually wants to be a father.
No.
He just wants to assure that his genes live on forever.
He's going to pass the baby on to a Michelin-starred nanny.
Right.
That's in the opulence of the Ballers universe.
Or, I mean, we're ballers here. Let's say what it is, and he's probably gonna pass him off to a Michelin star au pair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Au pair in the building.
Yeah.
So we have that phone call that Spencer has with Chloe, and he's like, I gotta see you, we gotta hang out, and she's like, I don't know, I'm catching the late flight back.
Right.
She's like, I'm busy. I got shit to do.
And we all thought that he wanting to see Chloe is that he wanted to sit down with her and have a conversation saying, I would like to have a child with you.
You know, I was hoping for it, but
me too.
I also was thinking he might not do that. Just the vibe I was getting from the show, it seemed like, why wouldn't you bring it up? He didn't say, I really need to talk to you.
Right.
He was like, I'm going to get you all riled up because I want to see you. And that's where I was like, this might take a turn I don't like.
For sure. And so, really, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
This Spencer storyline with Chloe, at least, in regards to having a kid, essentially skips to the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Where he and Chloe are hanging out. They're both having a drink, and they pour heavy drinks, by the way.
Those are a lot. Yeah, heavy drinks.
I think they're pouring 3 shots into a glass.
And then he's like, tell me how good of a guy I am, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, tell me I'm not a piece of shit. And she does that exactly. Like, she loves him.
And beyond.
Yeah, she loves him and, strokes his ego and reaffirms that he is not a bad person and that he's doing the right thing. Even though he's letting a lot of his employees go that helped him build up this company.
And she doesn't realize that she's sort of validating his choice to do what he's going to do later.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then the music builds, and we end up.
And we see what I would probably refer to as the most tasteful lovemaking scene we've ever seen in the history of Ballers.
Yeah.
Yeah, very tasteful.
It was a good way to put it.
It was very tight. It was tightly shot. It was close up. It was in the missionary position where both members are looking at each other passionately in each other's eyes.
Well, because he promised that.
Yes, he did promise.
Give you that eye contact, girl.
And so I thought it was a very tasteful love scene until, Ashley can break down this moment for us.
Oh my God. For any ladies watching, please call in so we can commiserate on this. Not that you guys aren't doing a great job commiserating.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Yeah, so they're going for it. It's a very purpose-driven missionary, and then
PDM.
some
serious PDM happened.
And then all of a sudden, it's over, and she's like, "Did you?" And then cut to black, because he's up in there.
Yeah, he gets up from just breathing like just an animal into the pillow. He's like, "Oh, Dad!"
Yeah, he goes Heisenberg.
Well,
you're damn right.
And I think we were never totally aware of the logistics of Spencer's lovemaking or Spencer and Chloe's lovemaking, but it seems like they are not a couple, and Spencer's not a kind of guy who uses contraception.
Right.
Does not use condoms.
They're using the pull-out method.
Yes.
No.
He does not use condoms. It's obvious that Chloe does not use birth control.
Right. Otherwise, she'd be like, "Well."
So we're using the pull-out method. Maybe he goes on the sheets. Maybe he goes on her belly. Whatever.
They do what they do.
Yeah, they do what they do. Yeah. And so this is probably the first time he's actually
inside of her.
Gone inside of her.
Yeah.
And so she goes, "Oh, did you?" Implying the question, "Did you just come in my vagina?"
Right?
Yeah.
Did you?
Did you just see in my V?
Yeah. Exactly. And he nods, but by nodding, he was implying, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
And her face, I couldn't quite read.
Yeah. And I wasn't sure whether it was "Oh, you're doing this without my consent,"
but because he is.
Or is it "Oh, you did that on purpose. You want to have a baby with me."
Which is still not how you do it.
Right. You still, I think this is a thing where you need to have a conversation with your significant other.
She's not a brood sow, you know?
Yeah.
That's
it's
right.
It's called Kool-Aid Manning. Because you just burst through the door and someone is like, "Did you just?" And you go, "Oh yeah."
Oh my God.
If you want to talk about seeing and being, call in right now, 201-822-5531. That is the Ballers Deep hotline. We'd love to hear from you because you're watching Ballers Deep right now. We have a couple comments on Facebook here.
Yeah.
Sophie Yalskizian, I hope I'm not butchering your last name. I'm sorry, Sophie. Seems non-consensual if you have to ask.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
No.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Sophie, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
It did seem a little bit non-consensual. I think maybe Chloe's giving Spencer the benefit of the doubt. But
maybe you were just so wrapped up in the passion of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do feel like this is a conversation they should have had before he went all in, seen in the V.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Way before.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like the NFL has videotape of this and is going to leak that next to discredit Spencer.
Yeah.
Oh God.
You're just seeing in V's out here?
Or,
Kool-Aid Man and everybody?
Right.
And then we have Stephen Clunas said on Facebook, "I'm not an asshole" equals "we're making a baby."
Yeah, because that was the lead up to that.
Yeah.
It was tell me I'm not an asshole. Oh, I think that means she wants to make a baby with me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's not what that means.
Do we want to move on to the next section?
I mean, we can move on. How you guys feel about the C and V part?
Still ragey, but
Ragey,
it's
okay.
not going anywhere.
That's true. I get it.
For sure. So let's move on to the Ballers 3. Let's talk about Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Joe seems to be the beginning of the episode.
Oh, can we mention first that I'm actually cosplaying as Joe?
I think we all know that James is cosplaying right now as relaxed Joe.
Right. Last time I was on the show, I cosplayed as Office Joe because I wore a full suit. But this time, this is more like business cash Joe. Like Joe is going to have dinner at Del Frisco's Steakhouse.
Yeah, big shout out to Del Frisco's, not a sponsor of the show. Would love sponsorship of the show.
D-Frisk.
Yeah, Del Frisk, give us a call at 201-822-5531. We'd love to talk sponsorship and free steaks.
But let's talk Joe.
Yeah, let's talk Joe. So Joe, Joe at the beginning of the episode is like, all in. Let's sell Anderson. Best move available. Big shout out to IMG. They got a big plug.
Oh yeah.
Huge plug.
It's great.
Because they didn't have enough business.
Yeah, they don't have enough business at all. They're doing poorly. And then at the end of the episode, Joe is having second thoughts because he sees the rage in all the employees that we have not met until this episode.
Well, I think first Joe is talking to Spencer, and he's like, "Okay, we're making this decision, we're making this commitment, but we're also going to be hurting a lot of people that helped us build this business. Right. So the very least you can do for me is be there and help me break the news to everyone." Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Spencer's like, "Oh, I think I'm going to be late. I have this other thing. I have to go to this doctor appointment. I got to meet with Chloe.
I got to set up my girlfriend to get her pregnant without her knowledge." Yeah,
right.
Like I got a full plate today.
Yes.
Yeah. A parent trap, if you would.
Woo!
Oh, man.
Boy.
Version of that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But so Spencer is sort of like, "Okay, yeah, I'll be there, but I'm going to be late." And he's essentially like letting Joe know that like you might have to do this yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, Joe like really just kind of like takes the lead, I guess, but he's really just kind of like shepherding people along, and he doesn't really like. You would think he'd be a man of action now that we've built him up to this point.
Right.
So he's really like taking the lead as like not just like Spencer's little lackey boy. He like kind of just like it all just kind of falls apart for him.
Yeah. And respect to this season because Joe's really come into his own as a leader, as someone who's had to step up. And then in this instant, we really see him falter. But he definitely doesn't let Spence off the hook about this either.
Yeah.
Because at the end, when Spencer finally gets there and drops the bomb on everyone in like the worst way possible.
It was very
terrible speech.
Yeah.
And he's stammering through it and is clearly
it's like, "Oh, this is great. This is great news, guys."
Yeah. Like, I'll be there. I'll be with everybody every step of the way to help them get a new job, which is just like...
Yeah, because I think we know it's clear that IMG is buying ASM for their client list.
Yes.
They're not acquiring them for the company.
No.
And we know they're going to take the clients, fire everybody at the company, and say, "See you later."
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest moral dilemma for Spencer and Joe selling ASM. Is because they're taking the people that worked their ass off to build up this business and make a name for Joe Spencer and Brett Anderson, and they're leaving them in a ditch.
Yeah.
And so we finally get to this yoga retreat where Joe is trying to take everyone's phones away.
Right.
Which it really is not so much for the yoga, and it's more so as a defense tactic to make sure nobody finds out that the office is being appraised.
And had he actually gotten all the phones?
No.
Would have worked out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we do know Joe has gotten to the point where he's pulling more weight around at ASM and is like has more confidence and has more respect, but it's not the same amount of respect that Brett and Spencer get. And you see that when people refuse to give them their phones.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
For sure. And then we have a guest star that I didn't think was ever going to come back, the private eye guy.
Yeah.
I just thought he was like going to be a couple episodes, and then that's that. He comes back and is like who's spying in the previous episode on the little kid, the punk kid. And then this episode is now like a yoga.
Oh, we're talking about Lawrence from Westworld.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Lawrence
absolutely.
from Westworld.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Westworld and Lawrence.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Del Frisco's could be a sponsor. Del Frisco's, where you take your parents to have steaks when they come in town to New York City.
Yep.
Del Frisco's.
Make it at steak.
You could broadcast this from Del Frisco's over steaks.
I would love that.
Del
Frisco's, hit us up on the hotline, 201-822-5531. We'd love to hear from you, Del Frisco's. We'd love to hear from anybody. Rashard Mendenhall, you wrote this episode last night. We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, man. As a Steelers fan, I did a triple take when I saw his name on the screen.
But he's been on the show forever. He's been there since season 1.
I'm more just like, oh, did I need to join the NFL to become a TV writer? Like,
no, he's one of the, he's one of the very few that I think has made the transition from being a professional athlete to being a TV writer.
All right.
And I have a lot of respect that, the fact that he was a football player and they probably used a lot of his source material.
He was a creative consultant. I think, at first.
Which was probably what got him in the door. But he must be doing a good job to still be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So a lot of props to Rashard Mendenhall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big props.
But we know the scene at the yoga retreat really for us viewers was an attempt to humanize the ASM employees and have us feel for these people that are about to get fired.
Absolutely.
But I...
Yes!
Oh, we have a call!
All right, here we go. Let's do it. Hey, what's up? You're on Ballers Deep. What is your name?
My name is Alejandro.
Say it one more time.
Alejandro.
Alejandro, what's up, man?
What is going on, man? Did you... Go ahead.
Yeah, so I stumbled across your video and I heard you said you wanted anyone to call. I am anyone. I have to admit, I don't watch Ballers, but you guys are talking about it, so let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
I'll take it.
What have you seen of Ballers? What is your knowledge of Ballers?
I know it stars The Rock and Rob Corddry. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
These are true. We're on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's about it. I'm assuming The Rock is the baller and Rob Corddry is someone else.
He's the shot caller.
Yeah.
It's actually a trick question. They're all ballers.
Yeah.
On this show.
In the Ballers universe, all of the protagonists are considered ballers in one way or another.
Yeah, it's kind of like being born a mutant. You're born with a baller's gene in the ballerverse, and that's what makes you a baller.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just manifests in different ways.
In different ways. Yeah.
Each of the Rock and everybody was bit by a football on their arm, and they became a baller from that. And that's their origin story.
And the government does not like it.
Oh.
No.
Alejandro, is there anything?
Maybe I should watch that.
Yeah, for sure you should watch
It's
it.
pretty sweet. Alejandro, is there anything specific you'd like to talk about the show Ballers?
Well, is The Rock funny? Like, is he actually funny?
Ooh.
I do think he's funny.
I think it's a comedy.
It is a comedy. I feel like The Rock at times can be funny. I think he's good at poking fun at himself.
Yeah.
And like surprisingly, because like The Rock is like an attractive guy, he is like an A-list movie star. I would argue that The Rock is probably the world's greatest celebrity, but that's an entirely different conversation.
Yeah.
But I do feel like he, as his character Spencer, does a really good job in embracing self-deprecating humor.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. So his name is Spencer.
His
That's
character's name is Spencer.
Yes.
I did not expect that. That doesn't sound like... He doesn't look like a guy who would be named Spencer.
It's certainly unexpensed.
I think you've used that before, and I think it's had the same
And I got the same response.
Yeah. Alejandro, final thoughts before we let you go. If
I think you convinced me... Oh, yeah?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I think you convinced me to watch Ballers now with all the radiation.
Yes! We got a
We
viewer!
did it! We
Yes.
did it.
You're welcome, HBO.
Alejandro?
Yeah, I expect a lot of radiation content in this show. All
Not
sorts
disappointed.
of... maybe not... I don't want nuclear fallout stuff. Stick to like, apocalypse stories is boring, but...
You're being very selective about the storyline.
You're gonna see nuclear fallout, but it's gonna be in the version of champagne and stripper glitter.
Yeah, that's called nuclear ball out.
Alejandro, thank you so much for the call. Call in whenever you feel like it. We love you so much. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
We just want to make it clear that the nuclear ball out is a trademark phrase by Matt Little.
That's right.
He
So
just
much.
trademark and copy right now.
Licensing rights are available. Contact
right.
me.
First,
201-822-5531.
That's right. Just had our first call. We'd love to have more calls. Thank you, Alejandro, for the call. You were watching the Del Frisco's Ballers Deep right here on UCB Comedy's Facebook Live.
Del Frisco Steaks. Del yeah.
So let's go back to this yoga scene.
Yes.
Let's go back to this yoga scene. This scene was an attempt to humanize the ASM employees and have us feel for these people that are about to get fired.
Right.
But one of the interesting things is we hardly know these employees. Like some of them introduced, like I don't think we've ever seen in the show, or if we have, we've seen for like a line or two.
Yeah.
These were like under 5 co-star characters that were in like one or two episodes.
Yeah, these were like, those like background actors that are just like, they do it for their job full time, and they're just like crushing it, crossing camera.
Right.
Like filing papers.
Sipping coffee.
Sipping coffee.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, yeah. And it's like, I mean, that's all we know of them as. I mean, it's sad.
And this is supposed to make us feel like these are good people who don't deserve to lose their job. And the first one we're introduced to says, I was so angry this morning, I was going to shoot someone. And then he goes, not you, Joe. I was going to shoot someone bad, like the homeless guy that hangs out by my ATM.
Yeah, there
so
was
like,
that line.
is this
Ooh,
guy
I forgot about
implying?
that.
Yeah.
Is this guy implying that all homeless people are bad?
Richard, what's up, man?
Yeah.
That's really bad.
That's what we call a punching down.
Yeah.
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 Homeless people are not bad.
No.
I'm sure there are some homeless people that are bad, but there are a lot of people, period, that are bad.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I felt like to imply that a homeless person was bad was not cool.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not cool at
We're
all.
better than that. We can do better. We love the show. We love you guys, but you can do better.
Come on,
Yeah.
Richard.
You can't do it in Sketch 101. You certainly can't do it on
No, you can't.
Right.
You can't. Yeah. So, and the scene, like we see, they start to find out that Anderson is being taken over, and
Well, the
they're
rage
sort of-
room's introduced.
Yeah, the rage room's introduced.
And we see that I believe Natalie is about to go into the rage
Right,
room.
which
Yes.
we've learned she likes to have glue, but before having it.
Right.
Or white
Richard.
Yeah.
Richard. What are these choices?
And so she,
Has
you
a
know,
full
Joe
length
Joe
outfit.
specifically picks her for the rage room because he thinks she is going to do the least amount of damage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which-
Goes in, immediately gets the text
Yeah.
from the guy. I don't know the guy's name who came in.
Yeah.
The background actor who.
Background
sees
actor with the fuckboy haircut.
Yeah.
That was what he was listed as in the credits.
But he sees what's going on. He texts the 5 or 4 employees like Marcus and Natalie that all still have their phones in the yoga retreat. Oh, there are people in appraising our office. They're essentially asset managers that are taking a list of everything in the office. He realizes that everybody's screwed. And so she finds out right when she's about to start the rage room.
Right.
And she rages.
She rages. She breaks the top of the table, and it like falls over,
It
and
looks
then
actually,
and then goes to town, and then throws like is it axe?
Yeah.
And throws
Yeah.
it at the glass, and it was
Right.
gonna nail Joe right in the sternum.
horrifying because for a half second I thought she hit him,
Right.
Yeah.
and I was like, "This is taking a turn."
Yeah, Richard, what are you doing,
The
buddy?
plan totally backfires.
Oh, for sure.
And so they realize, Joe realizes right off the bat he has to go to plan B, which was his original plan. Let's go to the bar and get our employees drunk.
Yes. And then The Rock makes this like half-ass speech that you hear, like it's very corporate talk of like you guys are getting like a nice going away present and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and they're getting like a severance package and then Joe leaves pissed off.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was pissed.
Yeah.
Because Spencer gives like a very generic, like you guys are getting laid off speech.
It's
Yeah.
very
He feels,
disingenuous.
very
Yeah.
disingenuous.
Yeah.
He feels like it feels very like Spencer's very emotionally disconnected to the welfare of his employees, and that he doesn't care.
Absolutely.
And that was the genesis of them at Anderson too, was being more personalized.
Yes.
Yes.
Being the people that cared about the people. And Joe tells him that, basically he says to Spencer when he walks away, you are becoming the thing we hate.
Yeah.
You're becoming everything that we got into this to break up.
Yeah, and we see that we've seen that a few times this season with Joe, but we especially see it at with the conversation between Joe and Spencer at the bar. That Joe has really sort of become Spencer's moral compass,
Yeah.
and he is the one that is externalizing and verbalizing Spencer's moral dilemma. We have a
Oh!
call.
Hey!
All right, here we go. Welcome into Ballers Deep. What is your name?
Hey, Stephen Clunas.
Say
Stephen
it.
Clunas, thanks so much for calling in.
Stephen Clunas.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hello.
Pinned comment,
Hey.
Stephen Clunas. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
Great,
Doing
good.
well, doing well. What'd you think about the show last night? Your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts, but I feel like the scene you guys are talking about right now was super forced, and it didn't really resonate with me as a viewer and longtime fan of the show. It felt like they were just trying to force something in and make some conflict that wasn't really necessary.
You
For
mean?
sure.
I find that.
Sorry, go
Say
ahead.
it again?
So go ahead.
Yeah, I felt like the conflict with the players and the connection that they have with the players would have been much more relevant. Like these new employees that we don't know, except for maybe the Rock secretary, it just didn't do anything for me.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think you make a really good point. Like, I probably much would have rathered to see how the selling of ASM would affect The Rock's relationship with Ricky and Vernon, who are characters that we both know and have like grown to love, than with these ASM employees that we've really just met at this yoga scene. I think you make a really good point there. And Richard Mendenhall, if you're watching, just you live and learn.
Yeah. Take notes from non-professional comedy writers. So Stephen Clunas, any other thoughts about last night's episode?
I'd like to talk about the whole Charles thing and how what
Yes.
Charles did to what's his name?
Let's dig into it. Let's talk about Charles.
Let's talk about Charles. He is like just. Well, you know what? Let me hear what you have to say first here, Steven.
I mean, it just felt like the perfect power play. You know, I feel like all along Charles's character has really been. I love his wife's character. I feel like she's a strong one in their family, and I feel like she's always been kind of pushed into being more of a baller. And it feels like he's finally learning and finally stepping up.
Absolutely.
For sure, man. Yeah, and it's like he has kind of like fallen ass backwards into every job he's gotten, but now like he really is like doing very well, and he's very good at being a GM.
I think we're learning that he might be even more capable than Seifert to be a general manager of a professional football team.
Yeah, for sure.
I still don't trust Seifert, though, that they're working together. I feel like, especially that we see that they brought in Larry Zonka at the end, and that look he gives Charles.
Yeah.
I feel like Charles' days with the Dolphins are numbered, but that his career in the front office is very bright.
Yes. I believe 100%.
For sure.
I got a question. I didn't get that whole part with the text message that came from Jay saying that the Dolphins organization screwed him over. Was that Seifert who had done that?
I believe it was Seifert. I believe it was implied that it was Seifert who screwed him over.
Yeah, because Seifert pushed the coach out. Seifert has been manipulating, and the way they kind of staged it at the beginning of the season, it was like he was manipulating for the greater good, but we're slowly learning that he's just manipulative.
He's just manipulating for his own survival.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Thanks so much for bringing that up, and thanks for calling in.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, Steven.
Yeah, not a problem, man. Loving the show, guys.
All right.
Oh, thanks, man.
Be well.
Appreciate it.
His transition, it's a shame that the Chargers backed off of him or had a change of heart.
Yeah.
Because now that they're IRL in Los Angeles,
it
was like the perfect transition
100%.
for Charles to make it out there with the rest of the cast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and like I think like his kind of suspicions of Ricky and everything feel a little forced too. That like his wife is like implying that his wife is cheating on him kind of thing.
Right.
Ricky feels weird. That kind of feels like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We also did get confirmation that their baby is alive.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, thank God.
We haven't seen Charles's kid like in I don't know how long, or even a reference to them. Like he's home with his wife and they're chilling, but we never see the kid. And he gets a text saying, "Oh, just got a text. The doctor said Kiki has allergies." So we know the child is alive.
Yeah.
We just don't know how much attention it gets.
Maybe one of those au pairs?
Yeah.
Oh,
Au pairs?
Yeah.
Baller au pair for
Au pairs
sure.
in the building.
Folks, thank you again to Stephen Clunas for the call. Great call. Big fan. Very knowledgeable fan. That's very cool. If you would like to call in, 201-822-5531. Got a couple minutes left in the show. Let's get to. We were talking about Charles. Let's talk about Ricky.
Yeah.
We haven't really touched on Ricky.
100%. So at the beginning of the episode, we find out in a very sort of like casual, offhanded way that Ricky has been diagnosed as bipolar. But they instead of like giving us an emotional scene where he's at a doctor and he finds this out and it sort of explains his behavior for not just recent years but also like his entire life. We just have them casually bring it up by the pool.
It was really confusing. I had to go back and go, did I miss that doctor's scene?
Yeah, for sure.
What is happening?
100%.
Also, didn't he already have a major conflict this season that he's about to be a dad?
Yeah.
And we haven't discussed that. since like the second or third episode.
No, she came back I think in episode like 4 or 5 because Ricky like went after her and she made it clear that she was moving away and that she didn't need him and that he was going to be in a couple of years he was going to be a retired player with a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
And then he started thinking about like, oh, what's my legacy going to be? So we did see her, and we did find out that she was promoted to series regular for the next season. So I think that storyline is going to be revisited.
Okay.
Yeah.
But currently we have Ricky dealing with this dilemma that he has this medicine that he's been prescribed, and he's worried not only that it's going to affect his ability to be intimate in the bedroom, he feels like it's going to affect his play on the field.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so he feels like, I've gotten this far the way I am. Why do I need pills to change it? Like, I'm fine. And I think a lot of us have that feeling when we're diagnosed with something. We're like, I'm not broken. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I can deal with it.
When really it can be more complacency than it is like a lack of needing to change or an inability to be better than before.
100%.
For sure.
Yeah. He has bipolar disorder.
Oh.
I mean, Matt.
That one's gonna take second place. Behind.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that was the Del Frisco's pun of the week.
But what we do see later in the episode is a really nice father-son moment between Ricky and his dad.
Right.
Yeah, I liked that, and I like that we finally are using his dad for like more. I don't want to say more responsible scenes like this, but he's actually taking that role in Ricky's life.
I think at first, like, his father was sort of, they painted the picture that his father was just this aloof guy that, got Ricky's mom pregnant, left, didn't care about him, and now he's just mooching off of his son.
Yeah.
That's the sort of, like, I feel like that's sort of how we were sort of, like, molded into seeing Ricky's dad.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're seeing him as a guy who actually might care about his son. And I think this moment when they're on the balcony and he confides in him and tells him that he has been dealing with a very similar thing his entire life is a really nice moment for them two to connect, but also it's a nice teaching moment for Ricky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Moments like that, I like to call them like they really Uncle Jesse'd his character, because like on season 1 of Full House, right? Jesse was Jesse Cochran, and he was an exterminator. And then in the second season, all of a sudden, he's always been Jesse Katsopoulos, and he's always been very Greek. And what do you mean he's an exterminator?
Yeah.
Right. And Ballers does this a lot, and I feel like it's kind of an improv thing too, where it's like we start out with this thing, but then we hit on what the actual character is, and we're like, no, don't worry about that stuff. We're just going to keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a bit.
That was a bit. He was just playing around with Ricky for a while, but now he's very much a good dad.
Yeah, so we didn't see a ton of Ricky in this episode, but I do feel like the few scenes that we did see in, and I think there were 2 scenes with Ricky, I felt like they were important episodes for his storyline.
For sure.
Yeah.
Looks like we have a live chat from our YouTube feed right now. We're also live on YouTube. We have John Laura saying, yo.
John Laura, yo, what's up?
Hey,
talk to us.
An official Del Frisco's, yo, back to you.
You just got yo-backed.
Hit us up on the live chat on the YouTube page. Hit us up on the Facebook page. Hit us up on the phone, 201-822-5531, 8-ball 31, 201-8-ball 31. Hit us up on the Cisco phone. We'd love to hear from you. We had some great calls today.
Yeah,
we'd love to have some more.
So much has happened in these 2 episodes that we haven't even mentioned. The beginning of Ricky Leaks was that crazy dream Spencer had, where
that
he was running.
Nuts.
Yeah.
And Eddie George shows up and teaches them about responsible financial management.
Dude, I'm glad Eddie George is still acting, because like he's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, Eddie George was acting on Broadway.
Yeah, he's on Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago is great. Yeah.
Eddie George is just great.
Yeah.
I briefly met him in Houston at the Super Bowl, and what a nice guy.
Yeah.
And just a dreamboat.
Yeah.
Like,
handsome as the day is long.
Yeah, I wish.
Man.
No, but just like such a charming dude and very sweet. And I wish him the best. Eddie, if you're watching, Best of luck to you.
Yeah.
Very excited to see you in the show.
Loved watching you play for the Tennessee Oilers in the late 90s when the Tennessee Titans were not a thing yet. And Nashville was building a stadium, and Memphis was housing the Tennessee Titans for a year. And everyone in Memphis loved you, Eddie. That's been the Del Frisco's Eddie George moment.
But yeah, let's talk a bit about Ricky Leaks, because we really haven't touched on episode 7 at all.
Yeah. It was a wild opening. That like the ground was falling out and there was lava and it was like, what is this fever dream?
We have Steve Clue say The Rock was actually having a nightmare. The Rock was actually having a nightmare about that movie San Andreas.
Boom, got him.
Yeah,
Boom,
got him.
shakalaka.
Stephen Clunas giving it to him. No one saw San Andreas.
Yeah.
No one saw
I
it.
think they're making a sequel.
They are?
Would you look at that?
Would you look at that? It's, what, another fault line? Like the.
Well, there are many. So
Yeah, there are
It's called San Andreas 2. It's nobody's fault.
Wow! And the
So many.
hits keep
coming.
Oh, the
It's
Del
keep coming
Frisco's punt of the week.
So pivoting from the Spencer nightmare to Ricky's storyline, because the title of the episode is Ricky Leaks.
Yeah.
We find out a little bit more about the incident that happened earlier in the season with him and the teenager when Ricky goes into the wrong house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we find out that like the video was leaked by the NFL, and it was used to make Spencer look bad and look like he's not legitimate. And yeah, it's like.
Question I have is, do they ever say in the episode how the NFL acquired the clip?
No.
No.
It's I don't think it's ever mentioned, right?
They just have like a team of hackers.
Yeah,
NFL
it's
HQ.
It's weird that the house. I mean, I guess the house would have security inside the security cameras, and it's like it was weird. Yeah, how they got it, how they because the video went viral after it was released.
Right.
So it's like, how does the NFL know about this 16-year-old kid?
Right. Yeah.
Is it like Zonka's grandkid or something? Like that's the only thing I can maybe tie into it.
Like was
I
like
don't know.
also like is it normal for people to have security cameras all over their house?
That's another thing. Inside, no.
In the
Right.
Outside,
activity
sure.
movies, absolutely.
Yeah, but like if you were like a married couple with kids, would you have security cameras inside your home? I wouldn't imagine you using like Brinks or ADT security and having them install security cameras like looking into your living room.
Right. If I was a celebrity, I'd be like, yeah, probably keep an eye on things.
Maybe you use like a startup like Canary.
Yeah.
There you go.
Big shout out to Canary. That's the Del Frisco's Canary moment.
Secure your stakes, y'all.
Okay. So it's very weird how the NFL got it.
Right.
It's very weird that that The Rock goes to his kid's high school and
he talks to the kid.
Talks to the kid.
It's not okay.
And the kid is just such a punk at first, and he's just like, yeah, I'm doing it for the ladies. Yeah. It's just like, what is happening?
How will getting punched out by a professional football player get you ladies?
Nope. Got it. I'm not on Tinder like, oh, he says he's been punched by a pro NFL player. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're like swiping at his pictures. You're like, here's a picture of him with a tiger. Here's a picture
him
with
getting punched in the face by a pro baller.
You know what would probably get him laid faster or more believably is just telling people that he clearly lives down the street from Ricky.
Yeah.
Because this isn't like Ricky went to another town. It's like their houses look similar and they have to be within like yards of each other.
Sure.
Right.
Really, as a lady, all you're hearing is, I live in a good neighborhood. And I'm like, okay,
great. And then they go on this like little joyride, Ricky and this kid, and they go and he's like, I hear this thing can go 200. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And then right when they gun it, there's 3 cars in front of them. So they have to kind of they gun it and get up to the school bus and kind of weave around and then get around. I was like, why are they wasting this
hell
time?
yeah.
Just have an empty highway and just like let them go.
Just like the real drag racers. So cool.
Right. Oh man, it was the fastest, most furious scene of the entire episode.
So what else happens in Ricky Leaks?
I mean, we have Reggie talking to Candace at the NFL office, and they get the sentence reduced or suspension reduced.
Yeah, for Vernon.
Yeah.
It was a good scene for Reggie.
Yeah, and you see a lot of promise in Reggie as a talent manager.
Yeah.
I feel like he would be a huge asset. Anderson is clearly going a different way, but maybe he's a guy that IMG picks up.
Now, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
But speaking of Anderson, I know in the episode 8, Alley-Oop, we did not see Brett Anderson. Did we see Brett Anderson in Ricky Leaks in episode 7?
I don't believe he was really prominently featured.
So he was like in the very beginning. Oh, he was at the very beginning and the very end of the episode because that's when Spencer says, "I'm in.
No deal.
We're definitely selling."
Got it. But I wonder why in episode 8, Alley-Oop, he's not involved with breaking it to the employees that they're selling to IMG.
Yeah, he's the head guy for sure. That's who you want to hear from, right?
Did we ever know that he had a brother that was actually the money behind Anderson?
Right. Never did till the season.
Yeah. Brad's a weird dude.
Brett.
Yeah.
Brett. See, he's so weird he keeps changing his name.
But you did notice that I think in episode 8 they went back to referring to him as Anderson.
Yeah.
He's no longer Brett. He's back to Anderson.
Yeah, he's back to Boss Anderson. Yeah. It's weird. I just don't. I don't know. The globalization of Anderson clearly did not pan out, and those previews for the season before the season started are not living up to all the hype, and I don't understand where. I mean, I don't understand where the show is going.
Steven brought up a really good point. He says there's a cool moment when Ricky lets the kid drive his $250,000 Ferrari. Best moment of the season, he thinks.
For sure.
Yeah.
He confides in that kid that he basically has like a massive head injury. Not massive head injury, but has like problems with his head, and he doesn't know how to fix it or like what's gonna happen for him, and that's the only person he's ever told. And like that was a cool moment of like telling this kid like, hey, you're not gonna be living and balling it up for so long.
Thanks, Steven. That was a really good point.
Yeah,
Thanks for bringing that up. So we have about 6 minutes left. Do we want to jump to Baller of the Week?
I think we should jump to the Baller of the Week.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
I'll start. I think the Baller of the Week was I think the Baller of the Week was the lady in the Rage Room.
Natalie.
I mean, she just went to town, threw an axe at a glass window.
She threw the axe so hard that it got stuck in the plexiglass.
Yes.
Yeah, that was safety glass.
Yeah.
Safety glass, yeah.
Was it? Because it seemed like she got through it pretty easily.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was worried that maybe it wasn't.
It didn't crack at all. It didn't break at all. It was a little Hollywood magic there.
Yeah, if you're working in the visual effects department on the show Ballers, please call in right now, 201-822-5531.
We'd love to hear from
Ballers Deep, the hour-long recap show for the half-hour show.
Presented by Del Frisco's. Del Frisco's of the Frisco's.
What else? Who else do you guys think who's your Baller of the Week?
Ooh, I think that fertility office doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, and the receptionist, but that guy who's like, you're selfish.
For calling Spencer out on his shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great point.
Yeah.
He's my personal hero.
Matt, what do you think? Who's your Baller of the Week?
It was a close race between Joe and Charles for me. I gotta give the nod to Joe for really trying to step up and also handling it in the most Joe way possible.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then also reminding Spencer of everything that they've done at ASM and the people that have worked hard for him, and it's do you really want to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you really want to become one of the people who we've always hated our entire life?
Yeah, and then as he's saying that, he leaves a $100 bill on the bar for that one nip of whiskey that he had.
Yeah, it's who are you, Drew Carey?
Yeah.
You know Drew Carey is notoriously a big tipper.
Love it.
Big tipper.
Yeah, big shout out to Drew
Not
Carey.
a bummer. That's a great thing. He's a big tipper.
Bummer that I've never worked in a restaurant that he is tipping.
Yeah. So Drew Carey, if you're watching, call in right now.
Yeah.
201-822-5531.
You're probably in Cleveland, Ohio, and join it up.
Right.
He's from Cleveland, right?
If you want to give us some tips, I think we're all on Venmo.
Yeah. Hit us up on Venmo.
I'm bartending tonight, so if you want to come by.
Yeah.
UCB East, East 3rd Street and Avenue A.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
I will have to say my baller of the week is Wayne Hastings, played by none other than Steve Gutenberg of Police Academy fame.
The Goots.
I gotta tell you, I don't know how old Steve Gutenberg is, but I can only assume he is in his late 50s, maybe.
Yeah.
Or something like mid 50s, late 50s. He is jacked for a guy his age. Because in the scene, Wayne Hastings has the robe open, and Steve Gutenberg's in incredible shape.
Yeah.
I gotta give him props.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's jacked, working at ESPN jacked. I
Yeah.
feel like every dude
Like John
works-
Butchergross.
John Butchergross is
John
jacked.
Butchergross is in incredible shape.
He gets up every morning at 4 a.m. and must do Body Beast, followed by P90X.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, he just is crushing it.
100%.
You work at ESPN and you're just we're talking about guys who are jacked, and I bet there's a lot of ego going on.
Oh, yeah.
They're all working out together at lunch.
Yeah.
All on the same weird diet.
Yeah, they have at least 2 protein shakes a day.
Yes.
Absolutely.
For sure.
But I have to say Wayne Hastings has to be my ball of the week in the sense that Spencer calls him, and it's I think it's sort of implied that it's between 10 and 11 a.m. EST.
Sure.
And he calls Wayne Hastings, which is in Las Vegas, which essentially we can assume that it's about 7 a.m. ish in Las Vegas. And Wayne Hastings is still awake from the night before, partying with Travis Scott and 3 women just chilling in a jacuzzi.
Yeah, not they're not in the jacuzzi. They're on the ledge.
They just put their toes in.
Yeah, they have their toes in. Ooh, it's a little too hot. We should get out for a bit. It's a little too hot. So they're sitting on top of it, and he's just he walks like a weird troll.
Right.
He trolls around, and he's wearing this robe, and it's very Boogie Nights. That Coke dealer from Boogie Nights.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought that was a fun moment. That was probably the most baller thing I saw in last night's episode.
Well, don't forget the Wayneland
I was
commercial
about to bring
too.
that.
Oh yeah,
totally. We then see the Wayne Hastings hype video for the new stadium location.
Yes.
And it's Wayne. Is he on a horse?
Yeah.
He's on a horse.
Wayne Hastings is on a horse, and it's either a techno crane shot or a drone shot that pulls out and looks down. And we hear not the actual version, but it's a karaoke version of the song "The Promise" from the band When in Rome.
That's what that was.
Yeah, it was the piano part and the start of "Promise" When in Rome, which you probably heard in the movie Napoleon Dynamite at the end when him and what was the character's name? Debbie are playing tetherball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I promise you.
I will.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm just saying the right thing to say. Yeah, we all know this.
Yeah, we all know. We
yeah.
all know the words.
Yeah.
When in Rome, eat at Del Frisco's.
All right, so we got to move on to the end of the show, which is calling the next play.
Yeah. All right. So we have 2 episodes left of the season.
Yeah.
So I think. To me, it sounds like everything's going to fall apart for Spencer. I think Chloe is going to be pissed about the sex they had.
What'd you call it?
Oh, Kool-Aid Manning.
No. It was something about the ejaculated conception.
Oh, the ejaculate conception.
Right. Yeah.
That's what the miracle the miracle on V Street.
So I think everything's gonna fall apart. I think the deal is gonna fall apart with the NFL because of Candace from the NFL is gonna screw him over with the video.
Yeah.
I think his relationship with Chloe is gonna be is totally strained at best for sure. I think all of the Anderson people are gonna file suit or something against them, and it's I think his entire world is crumbling. Ergo, the crumbling street in front of him, the crazy dream he had.
I will just say that a couple weeks ago, I predicted that Larry Zonka was going to be the next coach of the Dolphins, and that happened. So just pat on my own back.
That's the Del Frisco's coach moment of the week.
I think what is going to happen, my prediction from here on is that I actually think Seifert is going to end up getting fired, and I think Charles is going to get his job. And not because I think that's what should happen, but I think the show likes sort of like keeping their storyline sort of like neat and tidy and convenient.
Yes.
And they don't seem to like have their characters go outside of their comfort zone or in an unfamiliar space. And
That's
so
fair.
I sort of, the way we know how the show sort of flows, I see Seifert getting fired and Charles sort of like stepping into that position.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that the Chloe scene, I think the bigger thing, not just the baby that's going to come out of that, and this is a wild sort of thing in the dark, but I think barreling into the end of the season, I think that Spencer is going to lean more into this because Chloe sort of enabled
We have a call!
Quick call. Very quick call. Hey, what's up? You're on Ballers Deep. It's going to be a very quick call. What you got to say? What's your name?
Okay, my name's Joey. I'm just curious what the guy wearing the NWO shirt, who's his favorite member of the NWO?
My favorite member of the NWO is and always will be Scott Hall. Last call, Scott Hall, baby.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your call.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Joe.
it.
That was Joe Clift. Thanks so much for
Thank you, Joe
commenting, and
Clift.
thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah. Oh, man, Scott Hall for days.
Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
So you were saying?
Well, I think that all of this leads to Spence being like, you know what, Joe, fuck you. You know what? All of you guys, screw you. I am right. I think he gets the NFL into Vegas at the cost of everything else.
All of his friendships.
Sort of like Spencer winds up in the NWO.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? I think that's how the season ends.
You think he's going to go Hollywood Hulk Hogan on
Yeah,
us?
yeah. He's going to show up with like a shoe polish beard. Yeah.
Oh man. Ashley, call in next play. What do you got?
Gentlemen, I have one prediction.
Okay.
Yes.
Just one.
Yeah.
And it's that Chloe finds out about this whole scheme to bring a baby into the world and goes full on Lorena Bobbitt on Spencer.
Oh my
Hell yeah.
God.
Chopping
Like-
off dicks.
It'll be interesting to see what Spencer's storyline is like in season 4, or when he doesn't have a penis.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's is the NFL gonna let in a penisless man? Who knows?
You know what he could replace that with? A sweet ass Del Frisco steak.
And with that, we will see you next week at noon live here on UCB Comedy's Facebook Live Plays. That has been Ballers Deep. Thank you to our guests, James, to Matt, to Ashley. I've
what on
been
the
Marshall
bike?
Stratton, and our gentleman friend on the bike.
And if this wasn't enough, you've got that 1,000-word Medium article coming out later today recapping the show.
For sure.
Yeah.
We'll see you again next week. Thank you. Bye.